It's a beautiful bacon day, Cookie Crusaders. Today we're going to be doing Nuzlocke episode 7. And we're going to be, by popular vote, using Cotton to see how far Cotton can go. We'll be doing dark mode, and we're starting at 6-25, as that was the rules from the last video and where we started. We're going to be using the scroll, and the toppings are going to be a chocolate with high cooldown. So let's see how far Cotton can go. I think it's interesting because Cotton is a healer in technical terms. Yes, she's a support for her Axo classification, but she does healing. And in addition, the sheep and her do attack. She has an attack buff, and she also has pretty high healing. And then the 3 sheep provide a little bit of a stun too when they first initially hit. So I think we have a good chance to get pretty far with Cotton because she has the ability to heal. So as long as she can keep alive and doesn't get taken down too quickly, I think she might be able to go pretty far. But we're going to see. I think we should at least get to 7-1, but hopefully, we'll get to 8-1. That would be a new record for our cookies. As you can see, she definitely takes some pretty heavy damage there. So she's already going to be meeting some adversity, but we will see how she does against every sage. The harder parts in the World 6 is that some of the enemies have shields, so it's not that she just has to take down the enemies, but she has to take down their shields too. And that's a bit tough. In addition, some of them have poison, and the poison does what's called damage over time. And damage over time affects cookies a little bit differently, each cookie. So Hollyberry, for instance, cannot actually do her skill against damage over time. So Affogato, Poison Cookie, and other cookies that do damage over time, they are powerful against Hollyberry because her skill does not directly affect what damage over time does. Where normal damage, just regular straight up powerful damage, can be blocked by Hollyberry's skill. And I don't mean blocked in the sense of like it just won't hit, but it's redirected, if that makes sense. But Cotton is handling just fine with both damage over time and direct damage. It doesn't seem to be a terrible issue for her. The main thing that she is encountering that's dropping that health bar decently is the high damage critical hits. As you can see, when they hit Cotton, they are not always criticals, hence why they're not always going down fast, but sometimes when her skill is still charging, a critical will happen, and then she takes a good chunk of damage. So we're moving on to the latter half of 6-26, and we're going to see how far we can get. I think we only have 2 more rounds until we get to 7-1, and we'll see just what we think and how we feel that we're doing. Alright. And 2 more Scythe users. And we beat 6-26. Next round, I think, is the last round before the boss round. Let's just give it a double check to be sure. Yep, 6-27 is right before the boss round. So we are almost to there. And we will see just how far we can end up in the boss round. I think the boss round will be the hardest, as she's not traditionally a boss fighting cookie. She does well in guild battle, but it's not because of her power that she does good in guild battle. It's because of the sheep that provide fodder for the other cookies to do really good. And so that's why Cotton's really powerful in guild battle, is because of the cookies that she can provide and the coverage she can provide for the team to attack other bosses and monsters. But she's still doing pretty good. I think she should be able to handle this round without too much issues. Yep. Not too much problems at all. So we will go ahead and move on to the boss round and see how she does on 6-28. Yep, we'll refill the stamina, that's fine. So this is the Sugar Swan. Dark mode Sugar Swan. Now if we even get to the half point, we'll have that speed boost. So we'll just be right at the boss. So really we only have to be like the first 2 waves. And then we've got that boost ahead, which is really nice. So it's a kind of technical cheat, but it's nothing that we can really modify. So we just have to endure it and see how it fares out for Cotton. But once again, handling the enemies pretty well. Do the coin round real quick. I remember when we had to do a lot of this during the Sonic event. A lot of coin jumping, a lot of object dodging. And those objects probably still exist in their game folders and files, so maybe those could be added as another point at some other time. I don't know if they will add it because they would either have to reskin it or make it completely different than what it was for the Sonic event, but it would be interesting. As you can see, our sheep did quite a decent amount of damage to the boss, and we handled it without any problems. So, by the rules of the original Nuzlocke, since we did 5 rounds without any issues, we're going to actually advance, and even though 7-1 is a different power level and a different set, we're going to move right to 7-5, because we may be able to handle it pretty well, because she barely dropped too much in health in most of those rounds, mostly due to her healing. So let's see if it's any bit harder, or any bit stronger here in 7-5 for her versus just starting at 7-1. Because we can always move backwards if we hit the point where it's too hard, and we can move on to the next cookie. But it is a good measure of test to see if she can out-heal the damage that's coming from these higher waves. As you can see right there, her health went down pretty far, and we get a little bit of a boost to push us through, and another one, and then a health. So now it's as if we had started the wave completely over, almost at the end. So we just have to beat this wave, and then we'll move on to the final wave of checkpoint. And she's still doing pretty good. She did take some heavy hits in the beginning, and I think if there was enough enemies, that maybe, just maybe, she might take enough to go completely down. And this is a good example right here. She went halfway down here, so I'm putting a guess of maybe 7-10 is what we'll make it to. But we will try and see if we don't go too far down in 7-6. Actually 7-7, because 7-6 is an expensive wave, so we'll try 7-7. If we don't go down too far in 7-7, then we will probably do a jump ahead again and see if she can handle 7-12. So let me know in the comments what's your specific cookie you want to see in the Nuzlocke series. Is there a specific treasure that you want to see? Maybe a different theme type. Maybe instead of solo cookies you want to start seeing teams instead. Would you prefer that? Would you prefer wacky teams and treasures, like maybe only common treasures, but using only epic cookies? Maybe all epic treasures, but only using rare cookies. I definitely like to hear your feedback, because if you want something specific to watch instead of single cookies and how far they can go, I'm definitely willing to do that. The reason I started with solo cookies is because it shows their raw power and their raw potential and how they can handle when it comes to singular enemy waves. Whereas teams, you of course have to build teams for specific hard higher waves to just keep everyone alive, and it does take a lot of synergy. Where in the earlier waves you can kind of test how well your upgrades are doing, because this is a showcase of how the lab upgrades at level 5, upgrades for all cookies, how the cookie bonds and the cookie star promotions and the cookie levels and the toppings, this is really a showcase of how all of that is helping Cotton keep alive in these higher dark level modes as a singular cookie, which is fine, and it's cool to see that. But I do want your guys' opinion if you want something different, or if you want something a little bit more challenging or a little bit more interesting, whichever you feel is better. But let's go ahead and skip to 7-13. So we're going to move up the ladder because we had no issues with 7-7. So we will see. Hi, kitty. Yes, hi, how are you? We will see how far Cotton can get in 7-13. I was thinking 7-12, 7-13 would be probably the point where we would probably not be able to make it, depending on damage, but it will be a close battle here. So let's find out. The enemies that Cotton is facing right now, they do a lot of direct wave damage, so they can attack through waves of cookies rather than just single targets. And the beat down there is similar to Onion Cookie in the like Fear Scream, and so that's what's going on with these enemies specifically right here. And so let's see, we get some pretty good knockback from these enemies. And as her own power herself, she's not really doing much against the enemies themselves. And the enemies themselves actually interrupted her skill so that the sheep were not able to come out the previous time. That's why that took a minute longer. So this wave wasn't necessarily super strong in power, but it was impressive of enemy synergy. And let's see how she handles the final two bosses here. The sheep are really what's carrying Cotton's power overall. So without those sheep, that would be the hardest struggle, honestly. Alright. So we handled 7-13. We still really didn't come into a struggle. So we're going to skip ahead again. We're going to be moving all the way to 7-17. So this is the furthest any cookie's gotten so far. We have barely made it past 7-1 with all of the non-healing cookies. So it's clear that the support cookies have a little bit more power to push forward on singular battles and wave clearance. So if anything, that means that support cookies will always have a chance to go a little bit further. And that's why having a support cookie in a team, if you can, is usually a good idea, because if that healing gives your whole team a chance to stay alive a little bit longer, stay running a little bit further, and deal a little bit more damage. And if the support does anything else, like attack buffs or speed buffs or anything of that nature, it only makes your team that much stronger. I know we've all seen a lot of support cookies, and we're like hoping that the remaining cookies that come out are not support cookies, and that's fine. But it's okay that there will be more supports. I'm pretty sure Lily, White Lily, the next, well, I can't say next, the Ancient, when she comes out, because it could be Golden Cheese next. When White Lily comes out, I am very sure that she is a support Ancient. And so that might be the most used Ancient that comes out because of the potential capabilities. If she does healing and critical raises, that paired with Pure Vanilla might be pretty powerful. So it'll be very interesting to see when that happens. We did skip ahead to 7-23 as we were handling the waves pretty well. The power has finally increased to a point where we were taking very significant damage, but we did out heal it with Cotton's abilities between the wave. So we should still be fine to carry through, but we'll see if we can end up clearing the wave completely. Here's where a hard part might come, because that mirror does generate quite a lot of enemies. But we'll see. It's generating a lot slower right now than it normally generates in Alliance mode. That is for sure. And we're only at the halfway point. We still haven't even gotten to the ending point, so we could still encounter an enemy that could push Cotton down. And these little mini waves are good, but they're not strong enough. Not for Cotton's healing. And we can show you that in the final statistics, what the overall healing was from Cotton, just to give you an idea of how much work she's doing at her current level and current upgrades. Because the boss here was good, but we were still able to persist through, and we still made it. So let's show you the healing real quick of that. So healing done, a little over 500,000, and that's pretty good. 500,000 damage taken care of just by her. So we are gonna skip over to the last boss battle, and see if she can beat it. And if she does, she moves on to 8-1, which means that the next cookie would start in 7-25. If she does not beat it, the next cookie will start in 7-15. So there's a small chance that we could have a whole brand new record of New World. We already have a new record of stages in World 7, but we might have a new world record too with Cotton. So let's cross our fingers and see if she can beat the boss of 7-30 in dark mode, all by herself. The attack scroll is of course helping. The cooldown is helping for her to have faster regeneration of the sheep. The attack power of her healing, that is making it so she heals stronger. The amount of lab upgrades to increase support's capabilities, that's helping. I only have them halfway. I don't have them maxed. I do want them maxed, but I don't have them there yet. But let's see if she can take the critical damage dealing Nightmare Archivist, because she is taking some decent damage here. And then a stun happens. But those sheep are persisting through, I'll tell you what. They are strong. Strong little sheep. And we do, in fact, beat 7-30 with Cotton. So that is a new world record. And I mean world inside the game, not in the actual world of humanity. And let's move to episode 8-1. Let's see how far we can get with her in 8-1. If she can beat 8-1 without any problems, we get to move right to 8-6. So let's see if we can get there. Because these enemies will, without a doubt, be stronger. And as you can see, they're doing damage over time with poison. And they are doing explosive hits. Cotton is healing herself. That is keeping her going, but we are starting to get very, very considerable damage. We are getting to the point where we may encounter our final point. It depends on how heavy these waves are. The damage is very good, but we still got the sheep to come out and the power to come from the sheep and the healing. We're almost to the end of the wave. Very, very close. Just one final big bomb to take out. And we did it. So we are moving on to 8-6. 3-star in 8-1 with Cotton. Just Cotton. It's pretty impressive. Alright. 8-6. Let's see if Cotton can do it. As you can see, this enemy generates another enemy to come out. More damage over time enemies. And so far the damage is not very considerable from the enemy side, but that is mostly because the sheep have been there guarding. We've already made it to the halfway point. We're doing okay so far. Every time the wave ends, we have that time to heal, so we get those in-between points that give us the chance. The damage here is pretty considerable, but our sheep come out and they do pretty good. And we're almost to the end of the wave. We're getting close. We may beat 8-6. Alright, last point of the wave. Here we go. Let's see if there's a chance. We got an enemy generator, and we got a big boss. That was some pretty big damage there, but our sheep are alive, so we're okay for the moment. We're taking some big hits. The sheep come in just in time, and we are barely able to scathe out of that situation. That was very close. So now we get to move on to 8-11. We're skipping right through. Cotton is definitely proving there is a lot of capability from healers and supports, but we do need more jellies, and we've refilled, so let me see. Let's grab some jellies. Just enough to get through. 8-11. Now, she's definitely gone further than even I expected. I'm very impressed with her overall singular capabilities. Most of it is the healing that is keeping her afloat, but the sheep are pretty powerful between their stuns and their very nice damage that they do. Let's see if we can get there. We have a small chance. The damage is much more significant at this point. Almost to the point where we couldn't even fully heal before the next part of the wave. And that's where we'll start to really get a lot of resistance. The bigger the wave, the harder it will be. But the sheep do come in and do quite a lot of work. Here comes the damage. About 75% of our health. We have some chances to heal up here. Here we go. This could be the wave right here that ends us. Quite a lot of enemies hitting all at once. New enemies that can be generated from the mirror. We're pushing through though. Cotton has taken them out. The sheep will provide. And we did it. 8-11 has been defeated. 8-16 is next. We're just skipping right through. We are just providing more and more proof of how supports can be really helpful and really powerful. These are some good waves because there's a lot of knockback and full wave hit from these specific enemies. So we're at the second half of the World 8. 8-16. Pretty impressive. Did you think Cotton would make it this far? The knockback is definitely powerful from those knights. If we get more of them coming against us, I'm sure that will start to really hurt. But the sheep are still doing a great job in pushing through. The damage is pretty intense from the knight there, the bishop, but we still push forward. And now we have true knockback coming from this side. Looks like this might be it. It is 8-16 from the knockback of the castle. But the overall healing, 382,000, 1.4 million damage. Cotton did very well. So that means our next cookie gets to start at 8-7 for the next attempts to see how far they can get. Do we have to pick another support? Should we pick another healer, maybe with the damaging treasure? What should we pick? Let me know in the comments, and thanks so much for stopping by.